There's 7 teams shooting more threes in the last 2 years than the Golden State Warriors. You talk about coaching. In my day, when the coach criticized you, it was called good coaching. When people criticize players today, it's called hating. Can you imagine if Magic Johnson said, I played in Brooklyn last night. I'm not going to play against the Celtics the next day. Can you just think about how stupid that sounds?
Charles Barkley believes the modern NBA didn't just evolve, it lost something important along the way. And in his mind, the biggest problem is not strategy, analytics, or even talent. It's mentality. Barkley often says that when he played, tough coaching was simply part of basketball. If a coach yelled at you, challenged you publicly, or embarrassed you during practice, nobody called it toxic.
You talk about coaching. In my day, when the coach criticized you, it was called good coaching. When people criticize players today, it's called hating. And that's why these bombs be driving me crazy. Like, dude, that's what coaches, their job is to criticize. It ain't criticism, it's coaching.
Nobody called it hate. It was called accountability. It was called trying to make players better. But according to Barkley, today's NBA changed the meaning of criticism itself. What older generations saw as coaching, modern players often see as disrespect. And Barkley believes that one shift explains nearly everything frustrating about the league today. When he says, "These bums be driving me crazy," he isn't just talking about bad basketball. He's talking about what he sees as softness spreading throughout the NBA culture. To him, the endless three-point shooting, the disappearance of dominant post players, and healthy superstars resting during games are all connected. They are symptoms of a league that became too comfortable. What makes Barkley's criticism impossible to ignore is his URSM. He isn't just another TV personality complaining about younger athletes. Barkley is one of the greatest players in basketball history, an MVP, an 11-time All-Star, and a Hall of Famer who dominated one of the toughest eras the NBA ever saw. And what made Barkley unique was how he played. At only 6'6", he battled giants every night near the rim. He didn't rely on outside shooting. He didn't avoid contact. He attacked bigger players head-on and built a legendary career by refusing to back down physically. That's why he becomes frustrated watching modern big men drift farther and farther from the basket. To Barkley, the NBA misunderstood the success of the Golden State Warriors. Teams watched the Warriors dominate and assumed the answer was simple: shoot more three-pointers.
Golden State Warriors had the 3 greatest shooters who ever lived. So everybody started shooting threes.
But Barkley says the league completely missed the real reason Golden State worked. The Warriors weren't successful because anyone could copy them. They were successful because they had Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, 2 of the greatest shooters basketball has ever produced. That combination was rare, almost impossible to recreate. But instead of recognizing that, other teams tried turning every roster into a copy of Golden State. Analytics departments pushed the idea even further, especially teams like the Houston Rockets during the Daryl Morey era, where three-point shooting became the center of everything. Barkley thinks that approach ignored basic basketball logic. Use your natural advantages. And no player represents that frustration more for him than Joel Embiid. Barkley believes Embiid is nearly unstoppable close to the basket. Few defenders in the world can handle his size, strength, and skill near the rim. But instead of dominating inside possession after possession, Embiid often settles for outside jumpers and three-pointers. To Barkley, defenders love seeing that happen. A giant standing 25 feet from the basket becomes easier to guard. The defense relaxes instead of panicking. Barkley argues that modern systems sometimes force players away from what actually makes them special. He also places blame on coaches. In his opinion, too many coaches today try forcing every player into the same modern style instead of adjusting systems around individual strengths. Barkley admits there are special 7-foot shooters like Dirk Nowitzki or Kevin Durant, but he says those players are exceptions.
There's never gonna be a great 7-foot, not named Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Durant jump shooter for a big man.
Not the new standard for everyone else. And then comes the issue that truly makes him angry: load management. Barkley cannot understand why healthy superstars sit out games so often. He points out that today's players enjoy better travel, better nutrition, better recovery technology, and better medical treatment than any generation before them. Yet despite all those advantages, they play fewer games while earning dramatically more money. But what bothers him most is the effect on fans. Barkley talks about families saving money for months just to attend one NBA game. A father taking his son to finally watch his favorite player live. People buying expensive tickets, jerseys, parking, and food, only to discover the superstar they came to see is sitting courtside in designer clothes because the team decided he needed rest. For Barkley, that feels disrespectful to the people supporting the league. He compares it to earlier NBA eras when legends like Magic Johnson treated every major game as an obligation to the fans.
Can you imagine if Magic Johnson said, I played in Brooklyn last night. I'm not going to play against the Celtics the next day. Can you just think about how stupid that sounds?
In Barkley's generation, showing up mattered. Playing through fatigue mattered. Fans expected stars to compete unless they were genuinely injured. At the center of all Barkley's criticism is one emotional point: gratitude. He believes NBA players have one of the greatest jobs in the world, and sometimes modern stars forget how lucky they are. So when he watches players avoid criticism, settle for easy basketball, or sit out healthy, he sees athletes losing appreciation for the opportunity they have. Still, Barkley insists he is not anti-modern basketball. He openly admits the game must evolve. He knows players must adapt or they fall behind. His argument is not about going backward to the 1990s. His argument is that the NBA copied trends without fully understanding why they worked. Teams copied miracles instead of building identities around their own strengths. And somewhere along the way, Barkley believes the league lost some of its toughness, accountability, and respect for the fans. That's why his criticism continues to resonate so strongly. To some people, Barkley sounds like an old-school legend refusing to accept change. But to others, he sounds like someone trying to remind basketball what made it great in the first place.
I'd be Michael Jordan in this era.
I'm old school.
You have to adapt or change sports.